With schools being closed, many parents at home with their children and really taking some added responsibilities for their education. Here to talk about some strategies that parents of young children can use to keep their kids engaged and educated during this time. We have Debra Harwood. She's an associate professor of educational studies at Brock University. And Deborah, you specialize in those early childhood education years. How important is this time at home for kids and their parents?
Yes, I do. So I primarily look at young children, so birth to about age 12. And I think this time at home is really significant in terms of thinking about it being almost a relaxing time and a time away from the regular rigors of everyday life. And thinking about simple things and simple structures that you can put in place to really help children feel good about themselves and to have that positive mental health that they so desperately need during those early years.
Some of your focus is looking for those educational opportunities through the everyday things that happen in the house anyway.
Yeah, definitely. If you think about cooking with children or baking, I mean, those are really wonderful learning opportunities. Of course, it's science and it's measurement, and you can even work in fractions. And what's really important is just to give children a sense of purpose and a sense of well-being, and with some really skill development and practical skill development is what I would recommend.
We've heard from some parents over the last couple of months about how stressful it can be trying to keep their children up to date on the online learning that's coming from their teachers. Is your consideration to not stress so much about that, but look for the other educational opportunities?
Yeah, it can be really stressful, and it can be really stressful when you're thinking about trying to replicate school. So, my advice is not to replicate school, but to replicate what children are interested in. So, maybe take some of that learning outdoors. And definitely taking breaks from the screen time is really important. But there's lots of things that you can do outdoors with screens as well. So you can go on bug hunts and scavenger hunts, and then you can use the technology to look up what those bugs, their names are, and then habitats they need and the areas that they travel in. So there's a ways of combining both to make it authentic learning for the children based on their interest, plus also meet some of those demands that are coming from the curriculum and within schools.
There can be a real conflict as well because when you look at it right now, their teachers are teaching online, so the children need to be at a screen. But in the meantime, parents usually sort of fight against too much screen time on an average day anyway. So there really does need to be that balance.
For sure, there needs to be the balance, and I mean we're in unprecedented times, and schooling is looking very different from the typical interaction and the typical spaces where children go to school to learn, and a lot of schooling is about that social engagement and those relationships. The screen piece is trying to replicate the best it can what happens traditionally in schools, but we have to remember that children do need ample time to play, particularly young children, and they need time away from those screens. So the best advice is to think about family games, to think about the outdoors as just in all of its affordances and what it can offer for young children, and to make sure that there's really a lot of balance in their day.
You also recommend that parents think about structure and routine, and that being extremely important. That, as far as routine, you're going to do something at the same time every day.
I mean, it doesn't have to be an overarching structure and routine. It's just about what children can predict. So young children like the predictability that they know, after breakfast time, there's going to be a little bit of downtime where they have with a book or whatever it is. They know what to predict next. After lunch, we're going to be going outdoors. They really thrive with that type of predictability so that they can understand the day. And, using a visual schedule where the children get to flip up a page when they know a visual picture of what's coming next will help them also structure their day so that they can have some sense of control and predictability about what's going to happen next.
Deborah, would you recommend that parents stay positive about this as an actual opportunity that they've had to spend a little bit more time with their children over these months?
I think we have to appreciate that parents are teaching their children all the time, and that they really are their children's first teachers, and that every conversation, every turn, every look, every walk through the garden, they're always teaching their children. So I think we have to appreciate that this is a very atypical situation in that they're responsible for all of their learning at this moment in time and helping the teachers kind of navigate that and scaffold that.
We know that they're going to be spending at least another month with their children out of school. And again, we don't know what's happening in September. So that advice could be continued to be valuable for those children and their parents in the next little while. Thanks again for your time.